interference. But this company does not constitute the Russian state. It does not represent the Russian state. And I brought several examples before. Well, you have a lot of individuals in the United States, take George Soros, for instance, with multi-billion capitals, but posture of President Trump on Crimea is well known, and he stands firmly by it. He continued to maintain that it was illegal to annex it. Our viewpoint is different. We held a referendum in strict compliance with the UN Charter and the international legislation. For us, this issue, we put paid to this issue. And now to the compromising material. Yeah, I did hear these rumors that we allegedly collected compromising material on Mr. Trump when he was visiting Moscow. Well, distinguished colleague, let me tell you this. When President Trump visited Moscow back then, I didn't even know that he was in Moscow. I treat President Trump with utmost respect. But back then, when he was a private individual, a businessman, nobody informed me that he was in Moscow. Well, let's take St. Petersburg Economic Forum, for instance. There were over 500 American businessmen, the high-ranking, the high-level ones. I don't even remember the last names of each and every one of them. Well, do you remember?
Press, I was still
the conclusions of the prior intelligence officials' clap.
We're 50 seconds away from the top of the noon hour here on the network. Frank?
In 25 years of working counterintel, Trump was in town. That's not an answer. That tells me that standard
and collusion claim, which he calls a witch hunt. But the investigations are much more about what Russia did as the House
leader of Russia.
But I think it was breathtaking. That clearly is so obvious.
Our colleagues, Jeff Mason and Jonathan Lemire, who asked pointed, difficult questions, with whom he has many other issues he's got to deal with, and he's trying to project that they have economic and security issues where they're trying to work together. I thought master spycraft, that when the questioning got hot, the soccer ball came out, presenting that to President. There are other topics where they can talk about things where they're trying to make progress. But until these issues are resolved in a way, no one expects that Vladimir Putin will acknowledge Russia's responsibility, but people do expect that the President of the United States, this one or any other, would be reminded of his own oath to protect the United States against any adversaries, foreign or domestic. And if there is a question of intrusion on the election, attack on the democracy, whether his counterpart acknowledges or not, the President could have made a forceful argument about the U.S. will not tolerate such intrusion, behavior, etc. Everyone knows both countries engage in intelligence. Everyone knows these are rival nations. But this has risen to a level that's dominated our politics for a few years. Apart from anything that directly involves the Trump campaign, the kind of intrusion that the evidence suggests exists is something that is a current problem. And we don't have any sense from the President that he is going to take severe action to prevent further intrusion or to send a signal. Today was a missed opportunity for the President, questions that certainly were predictable, and for Vladimir Putin, the surprise of the day, he wanted Trump to win. Brian?
Kelly O'Donnell in the room where it happened. Kelly, thank you. We have on the phone former CIA Director John Brennan. And Director Brennan, I'm looking at these two quotes. All I can do is ask the question, said Trump about election interference. I don't see any reason why it would be Russia, said Trump about election interference. We just read what you said on Twitter, your reaction to what you've just seen.
Yeah, Brian, I thought that there was nothing that Donald Trump could say that would shock me, but I was wrong. I was just totally shocked at the performance of Donald Trump in Helsinki at a press conference with Vladimir. Good American patriots resigning in objection to that performance by Donald Trump. I get words, I'm at a loss of words to describe just how outrageous his words, his statements, his behavior has been. And one can only conclude that he fears Vladimir Putin, and that one-on-one discussion, who knows what was discussed there, and how Mr. Putin now is the master puppeteer of Donald Trump, the person who is in our Oval Office. Outrageous.
I just saw a picture of Huntsman and Pompeo while the president was speaking, looking a bit stricken.